This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we're back for some more admin training. And the admin training for access groups, we talked about being able to hide entire tabs and menu options on the left-hand side. So if we're looking at that level, then refer to that video. This video is going to get to field level access. So now I do want them to see the entities tabs, but I don't want them to see all these fields. We're not using them all. So to give an example of how we handle this, I'm going to hide the equipment type field here. So we're going to try to figure out a way to hide that one. And then that's on the entities tab. And then we're also going to try to hide this ranking code field because we're not using that one today. Okay, so again, you have to be logged in as an administrator to be able to see your system files. And so I'm in here in the system files here. And again, remember, I'm in the RMA document. So I have to be careful about which document I'm on. In this case, it's on the RMA. All right, so I'm going to go to system files, I'm going to go to security, and I'm going to go to field level access instead of access groups. All right, so when I go to field level access, I need to find the field that I want to hide. Okay, so I click this three-dot box, it opens up a list of all the fields in the system. And the first one I'm going to look for is ranking code. All right, so I'm looking for ranking code. Remember I said the document was important to remember. You'll see I have ranking code on calls, RMAs, work orders. I really want to control the one on RMA. So I'm gonna put RMA in here and filter it, and there's my field that I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and select that field. And now I need to decide which access group do I wanna hide this from. I wanna hide it from my RMA receiving department access group. And I have the option of I can hide it entirely by giving a no access. I can give them view only access, which means they can see the field, they just can't do anything with it. Or I can give them full access. And so I don't want to hide the field, so I'm going to give them none. I'm going to click the save button. And then what I'm also going to do is I remember that was the one for the ranking code, but I also wanted to hide that equipment type. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to hit equipment again as equipment type. And I'm not sure what this looks like, so I'm going to remove it initially so you can see it. And again, you see I'm dealing with the same thing, but now I got two RMA. So if I put RMA in here, I have, well, which one is it? Is it the RMA or the RMA entity? Now remember that field was on the entities tab. And so I can just do this and say, I only want to see the fields that are on the entity tab. And now I'm only showing the one on the entity, but I only want to see the RMA entity. All right, and so the one that looks the closest to what I'm looking for is this RMA line entity. This one is a return entity. We wanted just the RMA line entity. And so I'm going to pick this 223. And I am going to still leave it at receiving department, and that they're going to get no access to this. All right, click the save button. Now what it does is it also comes up here, if you look at your list, I can see all the fields that I've hidden in this case. So if I look at the let's see, RMA, these are all the fields I've hidden in the RMA that were set to none. Here's a list of all the ones I've set to none. So I can do a number of filters here. Or I can say, how many have I set to none for the receiving department? And so I always know I got the RMA line equipment type and the RM ranking code are the two that I just set up, and they're set to none. I can always come back here and change it to full so they can see them again if we need to, or we want them to use that field in the future. Okay, now remember, every time I change a system setting like that, I have to log off and log back on. And I have to make sure I log on and off for this access group, which is my Charlie Brown. All right, so if I go to Charlie Brown, C Brown, and put his password in, I now am logged in as him. I'm only able to see my RMAs. I go back up here, I can find any RMA I want. I was playing with 84, I think is what it was. And now you can see that the ranking code is gone. You can also see on the Entities tab, I have two views on the Entities tab, a Form view and List view. And so I'm going to go to a Form view, and you can also see the equipment type is gone. And so you can repeat that for any field on here that you want. That's just an example of what you want to have done. You also notice when I hit it, I picked when it was returned, but you remember you saw a replacement. So also on our replacements tab, there's an equipment type. That was the other field that we saw. We saw two fields. If I wanted to hide the field on the replacement tab, I could do it under that, under the equipment type there. Okay, that's how you hide fields in each of the individual documents. And so you can hide fields on the entities tab, you can hide fields on the general tab, you can hide fields on the problems tab. In the RMA, that's about it. The work order has many more tabs that you can hide fields on. All right, thank you for listening. Bye now.